Zuki was walking home when he heard the noise. It came from the big gray building covered in rust and moss. Zuki wasn't scared. He was a big boy now. His mommy even trusted him to be on his own at the park when she needed to go to work. Zuki, Zuki, you need to stay here. Lots of people have been hurt on the other side of the city. Mommy needs to go help. And if it gets light, then be careful going. Sorry, be careful. Be careful walking home. Just go out if it gets late, then be careful going home. Ask Miss She next door to help you inside if you need to. Zuko opened the door. Opened the big wooden door, and it looked like it had been forced open recently. The wood in the middle had split open. One door seemed larger than the others. The young boy looked around. Hello? He asked quietly. He heard a noise, again louder, a wet cough and large splatter. Frowned in determination, and stepping inside and peeked into the first room. Someone was hurt. They needed help. Zuki followed the quiet grunts and loud hacking coughs until he found something that would haunt him ever. It was All Might, the world's greatest hero. He was slumped against the floor. The far wooden wall, his lower half drenched in blood, the same dark red liquid dripping from its radiant smile. Dear, hello, young man. Raced toward All Might, you're hurt. My mommy's a nurse. She showed me how to use bandages and stuff, he said. Hero laughed quietly. It wasn't a great, boisterous laugh, but something softer and kinder. All Might shook his head. I don't even think your mother could help me. Amazing as she sounds, he said. Are you? I am. I'm terribly sorry. What? For the hero kids fell into this. All Might nodded, but smiled rage. To defeat him, we each shot the mortal blow to the other. I'm hiding from his minions in here. He will most definitely try to exploit my weaknesses. However, I'm afraid the age of All Might's over. Or All Might will become the number one here and say everyone's smart just like you. The hero chuckled fondly and swallowed the blood down. The trickle of hope enters. Make excellent, hero. You certainly have the heart one. Sniffing, smiling his eye. Says I can't, that I'm weak because I'm quirkless, but I'm still going to do my best. To one person I could be happy. His widened, All Might's eyes widened a little bit. The child born quirkless is where when I was a boy. You work hard, but I think you could do it. You want to hear secret? Nodded every inch of it. I too was quirkless until I was 15. Oh, Zuku's eyes open wide. You were like me? All Might nodded. My quirk was not rigid in my own. Through the combination of a quirk that passed itself on, an energy shock by a quirk. My quirk called One for All was born. I am the eighth wielder, and if his power, my master trusts me. Same reason I now choose you, young man. Would you carry my power in order to help others? He asked. Zuko's eyes were wide with amusement. It could be given to others. It was unheard of. But people could do a great many things. Greenhead nodded wordlessly. He smiled, shifting to a more upright position. Excellent. I'm sorry to shove my burden onto you. Dear, this is the man who injured me today is one who created One for All. His name is All for One. His quirk is the ability to steal and give quirks to and from others. You must keep One for All to yourself. You must train in secret until you have enough control over it to be safe. You could not even tell your family. Many people, heroes and villains alike, would hunt for you. They knew of One for All. You must remain quirkless until you are attending hero school. Do you still accept my power? It is a great and heavy responsibility for that. Sorry. Nodding, Zuko nodded, his expression one of determination. All Might sighed in relief, then looked serious. I'm afraid you're going to have to drink some of my blood or eat a strand of my hair. Your system to let me pass One for All into you. I know it's gross, but it must be done. Zuko made a face, but wiped some of the blood from All Might's extended hand with his finger. He stared at the bloody digit for a moment before licking and shuddering. All Might finally relaxed. His last duty completed. You must not lose until You built up a strong muscle, my boy. Only a trained body can handle Wonderfall's power. You need to dial the amount you use down. Think Wonderfall's energy is a vast lake. Once you train, a trained body can handle Wonderfall's energy. You also need to deal it down. Use it down. Think of Wonderfall as a vast lake. Once you train, you will only be able to lose a teacup's worth of that energy. The amount will grow as you strengthen your body. Izuku nodded in understanding. I'll train really hard. I'll make sure Wonderfall is good for good. Used for good, he said. The hero smiled, raising his unbloodied hand to pat the boy's hair. I'm sure you'll do excellently. Don't worry, I'll always be with you within Wonderfall. You need guidance, just ask. I'll make the world's symbol of peace and justice died, thinking of a tall, green-haired hero watching over the city as it keeps swirling in the wind. It was a smiling, bright, hopeful grin. I'm going to do chapter 1 and 2, voiced. Ever since that day, Izuku trained. He cried when almost who knows the progress of the world. He and his mother, TV with mountains of tissue around them. Inko approved Izuku's training. Now that All Might was gone, villains were coming out of the woodwork. Inko wanted Izuku to be able to defend himself. While only being 5, Izuku just ate a healthy diet and ran around the garden whenever he could. He timed himself running back and forth 5 times. He would get slightly quicker every day by a millisecond. Inko sighed. Izuku signed Izuku up for self-defense classes. He only learned the basics, like how to disarm an opponent, throw a proper punch, how to dodge, a few footwork techniques. Izuku only tried activating Wonderfall on his 11th birthday. He tried muscle training on his 10th birthday, so he was slightly stronger than its average 11-year-old. Izuku's arm burned, and he heard the echo of Moment's voice. Think of Wonderfall's energy like a vast lake once you train. So a teacup's worth that power. If I can use a teacup's warp yet, then how about a teaspoon? The pain slowly disappeared, and Izuku stared at his arm. He could feel the energy coursing through his veins. The green ant smiled, then channeled the energy through his other arm too. He let the quirk go and flopped back onto the bed. It was tiring, but he could do it. Izuku took a year of training to figure out the most effective use. Izuku trickled a serving spoon worth of energy through his whole body, then leaped off the ground, pushing off a tree branch, bouncing between trees. He used the force that Bakugo and he had frequented when they were kids as a training ground. Nobody came here anymore because of the overgrowth blocking the footpaths. It was the perfect environment to train in too. It was an obstacle course, a group of training dummies and strength dummies all in one. Izuku's strength there and constant of carrying bundles of sticks about or small logs. He was saving Dagobah Beach for later as a final preparation for the UA entrance exam. He had decided on UA for 2 reasons. First, because it was Ahmed's old school. Second, because it was the best hero school in the country. Izuku wanted to follow in his predecessor's footsteps as much as possible. All for one could still be out there. He would need to be ready. He was to cover Ahmed's final battle against a stepishly powerful villain, but the villain's body had never been found. He was crippled by All Might, at the very least, but with all his quirks, he was still a threat. Izuku poured a bottle of water from his bag, taking a long drink. He sighed, checking the time on his phone. 15:07. It was time to head home. He had homework to finish at school tomorrow, so he had to finish his training. Put his water bottle away and wandered through the forest, jumping over any overgrown weeds on his way. They were just a minor inconvenience, but people still didn't come to the forest. The green ant opened his front door and greeted his mother, who was watching the television, her hands clasped. You may call me all for one. Zuku's head snapped to his TV. There was a man on the screen wearing a dark suit. His head was covered by a menacing mask that seemed to have some kind of respiratory function. He stared at the bloody corpse at Alma's feet. He was unrecognizable, as his head had been popped like a grape. His hands were still dripping with blood and brain. I'm not here for the masses or any certificate hero that thinks they could stand up to me. I want All Might's successor. I killed All Might 7 years ago. spend these 7 years healing from my wounds. However, all its quirk is special. It can be passed on from person to person. When transferred, it specifically boosts a person's quirk to godlike levels, as well as giving the user super strength. Whoever and whatever you are, please come forward. You can prevent a lot of suffering by handing the quirk over to me. But you, hero or civilian, you will not remain hidden for long. Farewell, Japan. In your best interest to hand this person to me. It would be a shame if half the population got hurt. Remain afraid. So you can remain afraid on the outside. My mother. He was angry. How dare you threaten the people? Just draw him out. You must keep one for all to yourself. You must train a secret. You must remain quirkless until you pretend. So you took a deep breath, calming his racing heart. Don't worry, All Might. I won't rise to its provocation. I need to think of something other than superpower. My quirk, though, so you was still thinking about it when you fell asleep that night. You could go with something like energy manipulation. You know. You accompanied energy for 10 years, and you were only able to use it during an exam in a crisis. That's a pretty good idea for once, 7. What do you think, Ninth? The woman asked. All for once progress had not provoked. Community was in their matter. They did not want to go against the man that killed All Might. The majority of heroes were deathly afraid. Only those of the top 11. Few scattered in lower ranks were not. The number 1 hero of 7 years was holding a meeting with the top 10. If there is someone out there who wields All Might's quirk, they may be the only person who can solve this all for one. If it's a hero, then they may have risen through the hero rankings quickly. We need to look at the heroes that greatly improved in the years after All Might's death. Eyes narrow. If it is a civilian, they may not even ever notice. All Might could have given his quirk up in desperation to the first person he saw. We need to look into the quirk registry update within the 2 years of All Might's death, he said. Will you calm down? This is All Might's quirk we're talking about. How long would such a power take to master? How long would mastering a second quirk take on top of the boost to the original? Side description. Make it 5 years after his death. Shrink quirk. Take time to master, even for experienced hero, especially for an experienced hero, civilian who doesn't lose their quirk. May not notice right away. So try 5 years for your investigation too, genius. Shaw looked at it. What if it was a child, he asked. All Might's sheer strength could hurt them. Their quirk boost could make their power uncontrollable to their small and inexperienced bodies. 7 years have passed. The wielder will be at least 14 years old. If that's the case, he continued, they could be a hero student or a hero's course applicant. Look for any student with strength enhancer or similarly dual quirks that have strength as a side. The heroes nodded, leaving to start their What? Okay. The heroes look for any student with strength enhancer or seemingly dual quirk that have strength as a side. He finished. The heroes nodded, leaving to start their investigation. Their time would be wasted, however, Izuku did not want to be found. I'm going to end this here. This chapter, this series, is called Lonely Ninth. So I'm already at the dream section. There's in total 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There was 11th altogether. So, chapters. It just been updated recently, so I'm going to end this here. See you guys.